This is why podcast equipment should be illegal by AugustTheDuck. We're gonna look at this. I know these two, Selena Gomez and the other dude. The dude that simps for her intensely, because that's what it is. Bro is incredibly simpy for this chick. He's overall very simpy. If I remember correctly, he basically stated that on his birthday, that you should, as a man, on your birthday, buy your work girl something, which is like, yay. So you do anything and she does nothing. It's like, this dude is very much somebody who, like, a yes man, which is very interesting. Anyways, we're gonna look at this. Also, please consider liking and subscribing. I appreciate it. I've seen a bunch of clips of this dude just on his own.
Here, this entire home is
Wait,
just
see if you guys can pick this up.
Podcasting equipment.
Why? 37. Unk.
Needs to be outlawed effective immediately. This is a sentiment that if you spend a lot of time on the internet, you probably already agree with. And if you don't, give her 10 minutes, you'll be there, I promise. Podcasts might just be one of humanity's worst creations. At the top, we've got the song Dance Monkey by Tones and I, then we've got the Netflix show Big Mouth. And then like right there at number 3, it's gotta be podcasts, right? Over the last 5 years, it truly seems like every single person that has ever had a name that is recognizable by anybody just to be on their friends and family has decided that they must.
Everybody and their grandma needs a fucking podcast, right? Everyone and their grandma needs a fucking podcast. It is horrible. Dude, it is actually crazy because, so, we had like a, really big, podcast here in Germany that was like, basically like finances and, what was it? And eventually they split up because one was a retard, basically. And now the same person made another podcast now with somebody different who owns an entire company. And I'm like, these dudes, when they start talking, it's just nothing of what they say is actually accurate. Like, nothing is horrible. Nothing is accurate what these dudes say. It's horrible. And like most of these, right? Let's look back at Haley Welch, right? The Hawk Tour girl. She went from just making the noise to actually Hawk Touring on things. She is actually now doing Hawk Tour spit on that thing. Literally. Do with this information what you will. No, you will not get a link.
Have a podcast, and it must be the worst fucking thing you've ever watched in your entire life. So the title of Worst Podcast Ever has had a lot of stiff competition for a long time. We've had many bangers come and go. We had the Talk to a podcast right there at the top for a while. Wonder what old Haley's up to these days. Haven't heard much from her recently. Oh, apparently.
You know, buddy. You know. You probably know, but at this point.
Apparently she is doing softcore porn now. That's good.
She's doing Hawk Tour spit. She's Hawk Tour spitting on that thing right now as we speak.
I suppose. Then we had the Ned Fulmer podcast more recently.
No, not that. Oh, God. Yeah, that might be top one. That might be top one. That might be top one. This entire thing is just literally just rage bait against his ex-wife. It is rage bait. It must be rage bait. It 100% is. When we originally watched this, somebody covering this podcast, this was rage bait. This was a humiliation ritual for her. He was humiliating her on camera. This just like poor woman. It is awful. It is horrible. She was being humiliated here. It's terrible. It's actually terrible.
That was a shit show, but nothing really quite compares to what you're gonna have to watch today. Recently, Benny Blanco and Little Dicky, quite possibly two of the worst people to ever have in the same room together, have decided to start a podcast. And honestly, it's really, really good if you would consider a podcast where you get to stare at Benny Blanco's dirty feet and hear him fart into your ears a good podcast. But wait, there's more. Not only do you get to listen to Benny Blanco.
Well, feet fetishists are happy, and fart fetishists are also happy. I don't see the problem. Maybe that's what they're going for. Maybe that's their main audience. What do we know? Maybe they are targeting that as their main audience. It could be. It always could be.
go fart, you also get to hear little Dicky talk for the entire fucking podcast about how it's not really a podcast and it's something so much more special. Are you excited yet? I know you're not, but we're gonna watch it anyways, so let's not waste any more time. Let's begin. Please subscribe.
It has.
No,
Why
it
are we
hasn't.
starting?
No, oh my God, guys, let's take a step back for a moment. We're not going to jump into a foundational part. Let's talk about what we're even doing.
Maybe I'm just a cynical piece of shit, and maybe I don't have a whole lot of room to talk as a commentary YouTuber, but I'm gonna do it anyways. I find this sort of like banter very narcissistic, feels like a
Yeah, the podcast's so dog shit, the pictures started running. What are we doing here? The podcast's so horrible right now, the pictures start leaving. What do you even say to that? What do you even say to that? There's no way you can recover this. The pictures are actively running. Next, I'm seeing the books flying out of the window and light leaving the room and the sofa packing its shit and the plants just leaving the pots.
strong word, but I feel like it kind of works. It's like, how self-important do you really have to feel to think that people are going to be entertained by listening to you figure out how to make a podcast? It's like, what do you mean? Let's talk about what we're even doing. You probably should have figured that out beforehand, maybe before the cameras started rolling, but I'm not a podcast expert, so what do I know?
What's the rules for gas,
Oh,
pissing?
please, do whatever you want. Okay, the whole goal here, this entire home is
Wait,
just
see if you guys can pick this up.
All right, gonna interject here quickly before we have to listen to that. I feel like this is in the same vein. What do you mean? What are the rules on gas and...
His feet are dirty. Possibly. Another thing, this guy looks like he doesn't shower. But to be honest, none of these people look like they shower, so it doesn't make much of a difference here.
piss? You go to the bathroom before or after you film the podcast?
What else would you do? Would you just like stand up and piss into the corner? Well, you can always do a cut, right? If somebody desperately has to leave for the bathroom, I guess like you could do a cut. It's not that deep. But like, what are the rules? Yeah, most like you probably do all your busy stuff in the bathroom before you start the podcast. And if you desperately have to, then just like, it's like common sense, right? You can just edit it out. It's not that hard. He needs a hair routine ASAP. I look at his teeth and I'm questioning if he's from the UK.
Like, everybody in this room is a celebrity who should be familiar with the entertainment industry. It's like, what do you mean? Are you guys really that out of touch and you think so highly of yourself that you think people want you this uncut, this uncensored? It's like, no, nobody wants to hear you fucking fart, Benny Blanco. What is wrong with you? Also, why are your dirty ass feet in my face?
I was gonna pick up. I like that.
That was just a little.
It was a little.
Oh, so he farts. How funny! A real knee slapper, or should I say ass clapper? What is this? Why? How? What is the purpose of this? I feel like if I was doing a podcast, it'd like have a direction, it'd have like a script, it'd have like a right. I'd be like extra prepared, super giga mega extra prepared, and like I'd have a topic I'd talk about, not like three idiots in a single room. So is it really a room? Because like there's no wall separating it, right? But like you get the idea. It's like I'd actually do something.
Squeak, like a little pip.
Yeah. The whole
whole
Like, I didn't realize you were gonna be the dictator today.
All right.
Mochi, sit down and just relax.
Yeah.
Let's just talk about, let's just pretend that we're hanging out like we normally do. You never even hang out anymore.
I was gonna say
Are
that's
we
the
gonna
goal.
have to pretend?
No.
No, just sit down and let's just hang out.
Do you think anyone will like it?
No, they won't. And I don't like that you're asking that question sarcastically, Benny, because no, nobody will. Again, these are the worst kinds of podcasts where a bunch of people get together and they convince themselves that they are so damn interesting that people are just dying to be a fly on.
They aren't even talking. That's the issue. No one needs this dry out convo. Like looking at this is like it's like there's nothing of value here being added. They're just sitting there and just like making jokes, right? That like then you don't need a podcast at this point, right? That's not a podcast. This is so far right. Think of Joe Rogan what you will, but Joe Rogan at least does proper podcasts. this is not it. This is not really what I would consider a podcast in any way, shape, or form. This looks like, um, just like a bunch of like idiots living together and like having jokes and recording it.
On the wall in the rooms where they have their friendly hangouts. So they just mic themselves up and talk aimlessly. Nobody wants a podcast like that. That's what hanging out with your own friends is for.
Sure, absolutely.
Why do people-
Actually, yes, I do. To be honest, I really think that we're living in a time, fortunately or unfortunately, that if like Friends or Seinfeld came out and impacted society to the fullest extent, it would actually be better served to be in this multimedia new format. Notice how I'm not calling it a podcast. Not a podcast. We'll have to figure out a different word because I don't want it. It's not a podcast. It's so much more than a podcast.
Oh my god, I'm gonna get through like 5 minutes of this before I call it quits. Normally I try and go through the entirety of a podcast if I'm gonna review it, but I honestly just don't think I have it in me today. Comparing this to two of the most influential TV shows ever made, as if what you guys are doing is about to flip the script on media. You're filming a podcast, little Dicky. I don't know what you think this is, but it's a podcast.
I can do better. I can do this better. I can do better. I can. Bro, I'm already. How long are we in? Listen. This is like probably the beginning. It's 5 minutes in, and I'm already like. It's been like I had to take this for 2 minutes, and I'm already like, nope, stop, I'm done. I can do a better job, and that's a really low bar. It's horrible.
Okay, so, you know, when people consume podcasts, they usually watch the clips online and they're really kind of stocky and boring and there's like a microphone sitting there and the frame sucks. Like, I don't want it to be. Now, if it was up to me, if we were really going to reinvent it the way that I wish I could, everything would look like The Zone of Interest. It would look like I guess it's a Holocaust movie, but an A24.
You want us?
Because that movie was shot with cameras rigged in a house. And it looks so, but I don't know that it would really travel online well.
Genuinely, what the fuck are these guys talking about? We are reaching levels of pretentious that I did not know to be possible. First of all, the idea that somebody being in a setting with a microphone makes the podcast boring is absurd. Again, as if they're reinventing the wheel like every other.
This looks like a soap. It's practically just a soap. They're trying to like, oh, there's no microphone in your face, right? So it's not it's like. It's not a boring podcast, right? It's like, if your podcast's boring, then that's a you issue. Then you need to change something up. See, you could just, you know, have an interesting topic, but these dudes aren't talking about shit here. They aren't talking about shit here. They all need to take a shower for a second and come down from their high horse. Like, this is so much more special than a podcast. Shut up. It's not. It's a podcast. And it's about podcasts.
Other LA-based podcast is not set in some quirky boho-looking house. Also, I feel like the implication that when most people say they watch podcasts, they are actually just watching clip compilations is completely wrong. That kind of kills out the whole utility that a lot of people love about podcasts, and that's that you don't actually have to watch them. You can just listen. Anyways, we're gonna start speed running this bad boy because for the next,
Correct, right? Just like working out. You have a podcast running. It just makes sense, but these people, nope. I feel like they don't understand what a podcast is and what a podcast's about. That's why we have this abomination. But that's just me. But that's from what it seems like. That's what it seems like.
10 minutes, all they're talking about is just how they want to do the podcast. So either they really did go into this with absolutely no planning whatsoever, or a second option that I think might honestly be more likely and even worse, they scripted this whole.
Why is there a freaky baby in the corner of that shelf? Why did you need that?
Oh, we're gonna act like we don't know what we're doing kind of shit. And it's gonna be so natural, it's gonna be so organic. And honestly, that's worse than just making a podcast with no plans. Going out of your way to make it seem like you don't have plans as your podcast idea is exactly why podcast equipment needs to be fucking illegal.
Did you ever not wear pants?
Not illegal, but like a license. Let's make a podcast license. Like, you know, we need a driver's license. I think it's time that we need a podcast license. Like, you even get a license for fishing. So, you know, it's time.
Pants because you didn't like how
I want this man to take a fork and stick it in a somewhere where there's electricity, because I want to know how he looks like when his hair stands up. It's like, is that an afro? Would you call that an afro? It's not really an afro. It's just curly hair.
it shaped your penis?
That is a 37-year-old man sitting on the ground asking another 30.
Man-child. Confirmed. Man-child. What? No? What kind of question is that? But then again, he farts into the camera and into the mic, so... Anyways.
7-year-old man that question. What the fuck does that even mean? Like, they're trying so hard to make this seem like it's just one big, funny, effortless, candid conversation, and they are failing miserably.
I'd like to bring a few dead guys on.
Okay, fine. Let's each go around one dead guest we would love to have on.
Okay, Kristen, you start. First dead guest you'd love to have on.
I'll say the first one.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
I wonder if there would be any value in having Hitler on.
Oh,
That was mine.
That was
There is no way that 3 people thought of the same person. It had to be Hitler. Yeah, nobody. I don't believe... Okay, this is scripted. There's no way this isn't scripted. So I searched 3 people making a script being stupid. That's like their entire goal. You cannot tell me that wasn't scripted. Like, oh yeah, we also thought about that. And I'm like, shut up. Shut up.
literally
That was
mine.
mine.
That is a beautiful thing that just
That
happened
was
there.
mine.
That's
Yeah.
friendship.
This bullshit really right.
Nah, you just all share one collective brain cell. That's not friendship.
It's itself, huh? Leave it to these 3 fucking losers to all say that if they could bring any dead person onto the podcast, across the board, they'd all bring Hitler. The worst part is they're only
Again, I'm gonna say it. This is scripted 100%. There's no doubt about that. This isn't scripted. This is scripted.
saying that because they think it's funny. It's like, really, you bring Hitler onto the podcast, a guy who was famously very secretive about his views? Like, what are you talking about? What value would there be to bringing Hitler onto a podcast? This is just the worst brand of humor. Anyways, I mean this genuinely. I went through the entire
Why is there a freaky baby? Why is that there? Why is there a freaky baby? Why?
entirety of the rest of the podcast, and there was just nothing worthwhile. It is truly that stale. They kind of settle into it, and I think they like stop trying to be performative, and I thought that's what you'd want, but oh god, it's not, because they really just start sitting around talking like they're not being recorded, like they're just hanging out as friends, and it's just not entertaining. It might be entertaining for you if you subscribe to a very specific brand of millennial humor, but even then, it's like, it's just boring. It's not engaging. They are just talking about stuff that really only applies to them or like people who are
Let me guess. The consumers of these of this podcast is like 90% women in their 30s. Just because of these dudes. What are the chances? What are the chances? I believe that is the accurate reaction. Why not, Duck? Rich people. But again, back to it. I think it's just a podcast for 30-year-old women.
extremely famous, and it's just not engaging. It's not fun to watch. Mr. Dickey might have been onto something. You might not want to call this a podcast because I think it's something worse. It's more akin to like what you'd expect to happen if somebody left their phone open in their pocket and they accidentally started recording as they hung out with their group of friends that is made up entirely of people who like to do corny bits and yell. So, whatever that's called. Well, guys, what are your thoughts? Like I said, there's a lot of stiff competition when it comes to who is putting out the biggest poop sandwich of a podcast, but I feel like we've got a pretty good idea of who's at the top now. Honestly, I can't really see this going too far because it doesn't seem like anybody is interested in
I wouldn't call it the worst. It's horrible. It's horrible. It provides nothing of like nothing substantial, right? It's horrible. However, I don't think it is as bad as the humiliation ritual. I think the humiliation podcast was worse. Clearly, that was worse. But this one's horrible, but like, not diabolical, is what I'm trying to say. The other one was evil, right?
in this, and I mean, like, how could you be? Seriously, it's an hour of them just talking about absolutely nothing. There's nothing to latch onto, there's nothing to engage you. I just don't understand why anybody who is not like in a super unhealthy parasocial relationship with any of these people would give a single shit about anything that was said in this podcast. Or, sorry, can't call it a podcast. Whatever it's gonna be called. If more than 10 episodes of this podcast ever see the light of day, I will be genuinely surprised. I guess we'll see. So yeah.
In other words, to summarize, we got another podcast that is basically poop from a butt, right? It's poop from a butt. It is poop from a butt, literally. The first like 5 minutes have proven that. And I think this is just mostly ladies in their 30s consuming this and simping for that Blanco dude and the other one. That is what I am assuming here. Because there's no way, if you have more than 2 functional brain cells, you just sit there and consume this. Unless you're like really just like consume and consume next, and then consume next product. Otherwise, there's no way you are that brain dead to sit there and be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna watch a podcast of 3 people talking about essentially nothing. Maybe it's like good background. Oh, it might be good background noise though. Right? Just like rut your brain while you're on the treadmill. But aside from that, nope. Nope, definitely not. Anyways, like, comment, and subscribe.